This episode is brought to you by Audi. The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV. It's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does, without me lifting a finger. So I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
Hey, Fidelity. How can I remember to invest every month?
With the Fidelity app, you can choose a schedule and set up recurring investments in stocks and ETFs.
Oh, that sounds easier than I thought.
You got this.
Yeah, I do. Now, where did I put my keys?
You will find them where you left them.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
You're listening to the Animation Addicts Podcast with the Rotoscopers, episode 206. The Swan Princess. Escape to which mountain? I mean, escape from Castle Mountain. I mean, the secret of the castle? Welcome to the Animation Addicts Podcast with the Rotoscopers, the #1 place to get your animation fix with animation addicts just like you. Each episode, we dive into the wonderful world of animation featuring Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, and everything in between. From hilarious discussions and movie reviews to interviews with industry insiders, this show's mission is to brighten your day through our love of animation. So hop on your nerdy couch, grab some snacks, and get ready to hang out with your animation besties because it's time to dive into today's episode. Hey there, animation addicts. My name is Chelsea Robson. And I'm Morgan Stradling. And we are your hosts today as we are going to be talking about the dearest film to our hearts. Actually, one that we just watched for the first time ever. So this is going to be an interesting one. Buckle up, Buttercup. If you are a Swan Princess fan, which I am a Swan Princess fan, but I never saw this one. Boy, oh boy, is it night and day different from the first. And let's be honest, the first isn't just this classic, but it's a classic in my eyes. It is. And so it's like on this really high pedestal for nostalgic reasons, but this one has none of that nostalgia. And yeah, we're going to talk about it. In case you haven't been able to figure out, which there's a lot of these movies that aren't that great, let's be real. The Swan Princess, Escape from Castle Mountain. I just like to call it The Swan Princess 2. It's a better name. There's all sorts of names, which we kind of alluded to in the episode title. Has a different name in Europe, and it kind of reminds me of Escape to Which Mountain. It's crazy. It is crazy. Well, on our 200th episode, or it was 202. Which one was it? One of the episodes. The Black Cauldron episode. I think it was 202. We were talking about the Black Cauldron, obviously. And Morgan mentioned that she wanted to watch all of the Swan Princess movies because it was directed by the same guy who directed that movie. And she said, this is what I've decided. I'm going to watch all of the Swan Princess movies so you don't have to. Which I was like, yes, you should do that. And here we are. Yeah, that's the title of my video. So you definitely should go check that out on YouTube. I titled it very appropriately. I watched all of the Swan Princess movies so you don't have to. ... Unless you're Chelsea, and I'm going to force you to watch it for the podcast. So here we are. So you're welcome. But I'll include a link in the show notes because, man, I've been on quite the journey watching these films.
Take your plans out of the group chat and get long weekend ready in new Abercrombie. From day to night, pack new outfits for every part of your itinerary. Grabbing brunch? Throw on the A&F Mila dress. Then head to your dinner reservation in their new bubble hem mini dress. And yes, permission to overpack for pics with the girls. Abercrombie's best-selling Scarlet Squirt deserves a post in your feed. Your plans are worth it. Shop Abercrombie's new long weekend collection online or in store.
business taxes. Was stressing about all the time and all the money you spent on your taxes.
This is my bill?
Now Business Taxes is a TurboTax small business expert who does your taxes for you and offers year-round advice at no additional cost, so you can keep more money in your business. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com/business. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's tax season, and we're all a bit tired of numbers. But here's one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it. Guaranteed. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
You gotta love it. Hey, yeah! You gotta love it. Oh, you gotta love this power of mine. Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah!
All right, as far as general information for this film, we're going to get a lot of our information from Box Office Mojo, IMDb, Wikipedia, and bonus materials if known, and random side factoids of information that we may have come across throughout our days. The studio was Nest Entertainment and Rich Animation Studios, directed by Richard Rich. It was released July 18th, 1997. Budget, we don't know. And box office, a whopping total of $273,000.
Yeah, so the reason it didn't do so hot is because it wasn't really released as a theatrical release. It was always meant to be a direct-to-video release, and they just had this, a little bit of a showing in a few theaters here and there. So it did make some money, but it really wasn't the point, if you will.
I wonder, we weren't able to find how much it actually made on video, though, because, see, the thing is, the Swan Princess was a video that a lot of girls, Morgan and mine age, had.
Mm-hmm.
And so the VHS market was definitely where it shined. So I don't know how this did. Obviously, it didn't do great because neither of us had it. But yeah, that's where we're starting.
So you'll notice when Chelsea mentioned the studios, there were two that were listed, Nest Entertainment and Rich Animation Studios. And I am a Richard Rich fan. I like his work, if you will.
I am also a fan.
And so I was a little bit confused because I always thought that Nest Entertainment was Rich's studio in addition to Rich Animation Studios. So what was the deal here? Did he have two different studios that were working? And so off I went to Wikipedia because, Wikipedia basically provides a lot. It's a great, people bash on Wikipedia, but it's a great starting place.
Yeah.
For some of your research, just to get like a high level, people like to put all the information right there. So you can start there and then you can do more digging later. So Rich Animation Studios. Richard Rich, the poor guy, his studios have gone through so many different names. So initially it was called Rich Entertainment from 1986 to 1993. Then it was called Rich Animation Studios from 1993 to 2000. Then it was called Rich Crest Animation Studios from 2000 to 2007. Rich Crest, basically, they were bought by another company called Crest Animation. It was an Indian animation studio, and so they kind of merged and bought it. So they kind of had these two names since it acquired Rich Animation Studios in 2000. And so with some acquisitions, they kind of keep both of the names there. But then it was ultimately changed to just Crest Animation Studios, just to keep things simple and easy. And then, okay, so there's that. The Rich Crest Animation Studios stuck around for a while, but eventually they just renamed it to Crest Animation Productions. So again, another name change. And then that shut down in 2013 and was folded into a company called Splash Entertainment. Huh. So we have Splash Entertainment, which basically is the studio now that he's working for. But now, time out, let's go back to where we were. That is the history of Rich Animation Studios. What is this Nest Entertainment? So I clicked on Nest Entertainment, and basically it was a family entertainment company that started in the 80s, and they did a lot of these Bible videos. It was a separate studio that Richard Rich owned, and he owned it from 1987 to 1993, and then they renamed it to Rich Animation Studios. So I think because there were like these two different companies that ultimately Richard Rich ended up owning, and they like came together. Yeah, it's very confusing. I'm like, just pick a name, quit merging and acquisitioning and all of these things. So either way, Richard Rich was involved all along the way. So by 1997, when this film came out, apparently there was still a little of this, a little of that. But according to Wikipedia, which may be wrong, because according to this, Nest Entertainment was folded into Rich Animation Studios in 1993. So what is the truth? I need to get Richard Rich on the phone. Please tell me the history of Rich Animation Studios, because Wikipedia is not doing it for me.
Yeah, there was definitely been times when I've wanted to reach out to Richard Rich and be like, hey, I'd love to do an interview with you. And I think I probably will. But at the same time, there are moments where I have this like inner fangirl that like freaks out and is like, oh no, I don't know if I'll be able to come up with something intelligent to say, or, you know, it happens, right?
Right.
I guess this is also where I'm going to talk about the last episode where I had this interview with Steve Gordon, and it was great. He was awesome. Here's the thing. I didn't know. He said anything Rich has ever done, I've done all of the character design for it. And
yes,
I was like, wait, what?
Oh.
And you don't hear this in the podcast, but inside I'm going like, what?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and especially the moment where he asks, when I'm like, yeah, we're gonna play Catch and Fire, and he's like, you mean you do this with other people?
Wait, you're that nerdy? Wait,
Yes.
This wasn't just a thing that you created for me?
Yes. Oh gosh. It's probably one of my like proudest moments in the podcasting sphere.
I love it.
Oh, so yeah, that's just going back on that last episode. If you haven't heard it, go check him out. He's got a lot of really cool things, and we talk about the whole body of his career. But yeah, like I said, it was that moment when he said that I was like, my original intention of talking about the Black Cauldron out the window. Nope, I don't even care about this. But I feel like I should have even gone even deeper, because that's the moment when I should have just let my inner fangirl like come out and been like, I know who you are, except I didn't know who you were.
Yes. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that meme where the guy's walking with the girl and the other girl walks by and he's like, ooh.
Yeah.
That's him. Like Chelsea, the Black Cauldron, and then Swan Princess. Ooh.
Richard Rich, everything you've ever done over there. Yeah, and he was very surprised that I had seen almost all of the Bible videos that he had done. So he's just like, oh,
nice.
Oh, okay, you're one of those. So I'm like, yep, I know the whole body of your work.
Yep, I am.
Yeah, so anyway, go back, check that out, because it's a good time. And other than that, I think, Morgan, should we eventually reach out to Richard Rich?
It is time.
It is time.
Yes. To quote Rafiki, it is time. Yes, let's do it. Let's make the Richard Rich interview happen.
All right.
And hey, you happen to know someone who knows him. So, hey.
This is true. I will get that number. Get your digits. I'm so dumb. Okay.
Well, I think we've delayed this enough, Chelsea. It is time for us to actually sit down and talk about Swan Princess 2. Wait, I have written right here, Race to Witch Mountain, which is not what it is. That's my joke. What is the actual thing? It just doesn't even make sense. Escape from Castle Mountain.
Here we go.
I mean, like, I guess that happened, but it's not a great title. And in Europe, it's called The Secret of the Castle. And I'm like, what is the secret of the castle? That orb that has the dark arts? Why don't you just call it The Orb of the Dark Arts or something? I don't know. I feel like that's better. Or Swan Princess 2. She's a swan again.
There we go. All right. To the theater.
That's what you do for a friend. Oh, that's what you do for a friend. That's what you do for a friend, my friend. That's what you do for a friend.
We never saw this movie up until today, but Morgan was supposed to watch this and tell me about it. And instead, she's like, no, I want your thoughts on this. So I start watching, and as I start watching, and I'm like, oh man, I wish that we were watching this together, like doing a watch along, because I have so many snarky comments that no one is going to be able to appreciate right now.
If a snarky comment happens in the woods and no one is there to hear it, did the snarky comment ever happen?
Oh, deep thoughts by Morgan.
So yeah, I'll admit, Chelsea, I'll admit right now, I'm on this endeavor of watching all 10 of the Swan Princess films. And so I watched this one and I'm like, well, we got another movie that we're supposed to watch for the podcast, but I already watched this one. It's already check. It's already done. It's checked off the list. So how about instead of me watching another movie, considering I have 8 of these to get through, I just tell Chelsea to watch this one. So my plan worked.
There we go.
I'm the true evil villainess.
I get it. Well, so tell me, what were your thoughts?
So going back to original thoughts, I never saw this film, although we in my household, The Swan Princess was never a film that we owned. I always had to go over to my friends, the Carpenters. Shout out to Sarah and Jenny if they are listening. And I would watch it there. And of course, it always seems like the movies that you had at your friend's house were so much cooler, right?
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, this one, the one that I don't have at my house. I mean, these Disney Plus brats are so spoiled nowadays.
They really are.
They have everything at their fingertips. And I know that they did have the Swan Princess sequels. And 97, yeah, that's when I moved out of that neighborhood. I moved to a different neighborhood. So I think by the time that's
when you came into my world.
Yes, I moved into Chelsea's world. Yes. I just didn't have the opportunity to watch it with them, even though I'm pretty sure they had 2 and 3. By that point, we were maybe a little too old, or at least it was like, oh, maybe I don't want to ask if we can watch this.
Right.
There were other movies. Hey guys, it's a sleepover. So what do you want to watch? Well, I've been dying to watch Swan Princess 2. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but
no.
But yeah, so this film, it's funny because it's just kind of weird in a lot of places. Like, here's the way that sequels can go. Sequels can really just rehash the plot of the first one just in a different way, like, ooh, a spin, or go down a completely different path, and I feel like this one kind of is in the first camp where it's more or less rehashing. So we have this villain who is Sir Clavius, and he admittedly acknowledges that he's a third-rate villain. I think even the filmmakers were like, yeah, we got nothing for you. So we're just going to do the classic sequel villain thing where it's the apprentice. I mean, this is what we see in Return of Jafar 2 is like, oh, the sidekick or the number 2 or the apprentice. They come around. It's like, now that my master is gone, the power is mine.
Right.
And that's kind of what this is. So we have the apprentice of the old villain who more or less has the same motives as the original villain. Cool.
So you notice first off that Derek has a different speaking voice.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here? And I was just too lazy to Google it. But I'm like, that's not my Derek.
It's not Derek, no. But this one was done by Douglas Sills, who I thought he did a fine job, like fine enough. But it's like, when you are used to your Derek, it's hard to have any other voice other than the original. That was the speaking voice. And they had Kenneth Cope come in and do the singing for the remix at the end. I was like, interesting choice. Okay. They kept the same. There was a little bit of a change in Odette as well, in the fact that they kept the same voice for both singing and speaking. So before, it was Liz Calloway came in and did all the singing for it. And shout out to Liz Calloway, who has no reason to ever listen to this whatsoever. But I saw her.
Also, the singing voice of Anastasia.
Yes. And I saw her at an independent musician a convention one time, and I was like, oh, it's her. Like, this is one of those moments where, like, my fangirl moments, like, I should have gone over and said hello and been like, hi, I remember you, but I also didn't want to be that girl. And so instead I just did it on Twitter, and she was like, why didn't you come over? And I was like, because I was afraid. Oh, it's okay. I'm getting better. I am. It's fine. But yeah, so it's like the whole thing starts out, and you can tell she is, well, they start out and you have this guy who's coming in and setting up traps. So he's setting up traps, and you're like, ooh, what is happening here? And then all of a sudden it skips over to Odette. And Odette is getting all ready because it's her 1-year anniversary of being married to Derek. And then they have like Bridget. Okay, Bridget is just a charity case. Why does Bridget here? I understand why she's here. They use her later, but no, she's just a charity case. And
she's weird. I didn't realize from the first film that she kind of can't talk very well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I never really picked up on that, or it just was much more accentuated in this one. I'm like, is English a second language for her? Because she's really struggling to make this happen.
Yeah,
It was just kind of like using one-word phrases and sentences.
Yeah, it was not fleshed out as to like why is she here. But things that I was wondering, like, there are no other people here. It's just Odette and Bridget in this room, and then you have just Derek, and then you also see you got Bromley, and that's like literally it. So there you go. Like, so that's all you see at first.
Well, okay, so here's my question. Where are they? Like, what castle are they in? They're clearly not in Derek's castle, so they're in Odette's castle?
No, this isn't even Odette's castle. This is the castle
they're
that they
in the
found.
castle by Swan Lake?
Yes. They just like,
why are they living there?
Here's my whole thing, Morgan. As we're going through and watching this, I'm realizing who the real villains of this whole story are. Derek and Odette are literally just squatting at this castle. And personally, I think that means that they are the real villains of the situation, because this is government overstep for sure. Like, who do they think they are? The Bureau of Land Management? Well, no, come on now.
Well, no, they did conquer Rothbart. Technically, that was Rothbart's castle.
Was it his? Like, and that's the other thing. It's like, okay, was it his castle?
His castle. He lived by Swan Lake. They destroyed him. He's dead. So of course, like, as in Conquest, it's theirs now. But like, I get it. It's a castle by a lake. It's so romantic. But I'm pretty sure the other one had one too. So
her castle.
Her castle?
No,
yeah.
And that's the funny thing is, like, she should be... Okay, her dad died. So nobody is being king over... There's no king over her castle and her kingdom. So really, they've just probably become a democracy of some kind. So they're probably better off. But these guys over here, like, they're just sitting, squatting, and they have, like, 2 people on staff, and that's it. So everybody's like, nobody's getting paid.
Yeah, I'm just going back to the castle thing.
Right, this is the thing.
Like, so here's it doesn't make sense. Okay, we're gonna, a few episodes ago we talked about the order of succession, right? So Derek's mom is a widow, so she would be the queen regent in typical hierarchies, unless she's a queen, kind of like in the Queen of England, where until she dies, then Derek cannot inherit the throne. Or there could be the other way, where she just is she stands in place of the queen until he comes of age, and then it's his kingdom. I don't think that's the way that this works. I think she is ruling the roost until she dies.
I think, yeah,
he is the heir to her kingdom once she dies. Cool, check.
Got it.
Okay, so it makes sense that since he's married, it's only been a year, like, we're not going to hang out at my mom's house.
Right, yeah,
you got a place over here, so let's go over here. Your dad isn't around. So boom. So Odette is now queen, essentially, or should be ruler of this.
Right.
Unless women in her kingdom cannot become, the monarch.
But there was
no
some heir.
Cousin
Well, that's true.
There's some cousin somewhere, like, maybe we'll find out in one of the sequels who's like, actually, I am the true prince, or I am the true king. I don't know. That's not made clear, but I'm just assuming that she's in charge, right? So that makes sense that her land is, the one that they're going to hang out. She's the queen and he would be the king. And then once the mom dies, he would be the king. And obviously their lands are then truly joined at that point. And then we got the Swan Lake. Okay, I know you said we weren't going to sing, but we need to sing again.
Our lands will be united. Wait, that's the point.
Precisely. It's such good parenting.
And politics.
So then there is Swan Lake Castle, which is the palace where Rothbart lived for many years. So
which apparently he was with this Sir Clavius.
Yep. And that's on Swan Lake. And apparently, me looking right now at the Swan Princess wiki, it does make an appearance in the third films. So and some other films. So we can't get away from the Swan Lake because it's kind of the whole point of the series.
It's her place.
Can't get away from the Swan thing. Anyways, that is the Three Kingdoms. And so going back, that's why they live here, I guess, because they destroyed Rothbart and this is now her castle. This is her castle, and it must be so much better than her own. So that's why they live there.
There's a point in time where Derek was like, "Oh, I must save. It's all for the kingdom," and it's like, "What kingdom? You've got two people."
Right? There's no servants. There's no people. There's no, yeah.
And that's the funny. Okay,
maybe it's their summer home.
Hey, that could also be a thing. But there's a point where he's like, he comes in and, these fields that have been worked are now set on fire. And so he comes in, Odette is like, she's sad because she's made this whole anniversary dinner for him. And he's just been all over the place and hasn't really shown her much attention. And he's just like, I'm sorry, Odette, but there's a fire. Somebody keeps setting fire on the lands. I got to go take care of it. And she like acts all like, oh, again, you're doing this again. And I'm like, girlfriend, are you like more concerned that if somebody came in and was causing trouble in my fields and like committing arson, I would be a lot more concerned. Yeah. And I feel like, girlfriend, you just
then your anniversary picnic, right?
Right. Like this, I would take ownership of the situation as well. Like equally, if not more so, if I know that like this is my place, like I'm here. So yeah.
Right. Also, I mean, Derek, this is a problem with Derek. It seems to be her kingdom. Maybe because maybe it's his kingdom. Maybe he gets the rights. So I don't know who necessarily owns it. I mean, they're married, so whatever. What's ours is ours. Yeah. Right. So what's yours is mine. So, but like he's always in charge and having to do stuff. And so, yeah, the fields are on fire. But do you not have another servant who can go and handle that? Like an army, maybe? Like, why is it always Derek? Derek, you need to figure out how to delegate. This is not your job as the king. There are other people who can handle this much better than you. I know.
Are there?
You feel important.
Are there, though?
But yeah. I mean, yeah. I can assume, but apparently not.
Like, the only other
Hard
person,
times.
the only things that he can send are these talking animals, which, okay, I need some, like really, I have a big problem with the talking animals. I need some consistency here. How in the world are all of the animals able to talk except for the lone wolf?
Right.
Like, everybody can talk.
Or
and
later
everyone is, like, understanding,
Oh, yeah, they just throw that out the door. Like, before, the only one who could understand the animals was Odette in her swan form. Yeah. Now it's like, whatever. Like, that's just too confusing. So, like, they can understand them all. Even Derek can understand Odette when she's a swan in this one. Which would have been really helpful in the first one if she just could have flown to the party and said, like, hey, it's me. I'm a swan. I know this is crazy, but this is me, Odette. But no, yeah, for the plot, that we couldn't have that happen in the first one. But for the plot in the second one, yeah, it's all good. Just make it happen.
Oh my gosh. And then the best part. Okay, so there's a point where his mom gets taken and it's her birthday. It's her 50th birthday. They make that the thing. Miss Huberta turns 50.
I would have expected a lot older, to be honest. I thought 60.
I feel like
that gray hair really ages you.
It does. It's probably, I mean, I don't even know where to go from here.
That's it.
I don't even know. So, okay. So Huberta is...
They need something... They need a plot point to get us back to this place, right? To have him...
Well, she was a favorite, so they got to keep her there.
Where did they take her then? Is that a fourth castle where they took her?
It's the mountain. Like this camp
the mountain,
inside
the volcano
mountain.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The volcano. Okay. And there was a castle inside the mountain. Yes?
No, I
Kind
think
of.
it was just like a hideaway, which actually I was quite impressed with. I was like, the fact that anybody was able to come in here and create so many pulley systems and like actual construction in this place is quite the feat of engineering. I mean, got to give it to them.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, so he says there's a part where she's taken away and he gets the note saying that I have to go and help my mom. And he's like, no, Bromley, you can't come with me. I have to come alone. If not, he'll attack Mother's kingdom. And I'm thinking, with his one hired gun, like,
yeah.
Oh gosh, there's literally nobody here.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where all the people went, but again, it was just too hard to explain. Like, no, if there's other people that can help out, then we don't have a movie.
That's true. Because the plot. I just felt bad for Derek the whole time because Odette is over here. And first off, her very first song that she comes out with is such a downer. Like, you don't start.
It was trying so hard to recreate
so
like her
hard.
magical musical number from the first one. But yeah,
It failed
no.
miserably.
Mm-hmm.
You tried your best and you failed miserably. Lesson is never try.
Never try.
So you have Odette, and she sings this song that's like the lover's lament of. It's called "The Magic of Love."
Sounds like a bad '80s song, to be honest.
100%. But so it's been a year. The honeymoon is over, and now you're just complaining. Like, you just sound like a complainer. Stop it, Odette. Ugh, girlfriend, get a job. And I'm just, ugh. So she goes in and has that whole section, and then they have, obviously the animals are a part of this. But I just felt really bad for Derek because Derek, he's basically a one-man team trying to keep up a mortgage on a house that is 10 times too big for what they can afford. And Odette is just sitting around and she's being played as though she's the forgotten one. I'm like, no, like, go out and do something.
Odette was so frustrating in this film because in the first one, especially in that opening number, we see that she's feisty and she's capable and she can totally do everything on her own. And for the most part, I mean, she takes the bull by the horns or takes the swan by the wings and she makes things happen.
She does.
And this movie, I think they wanted it to be more of Derek's story, but even in the first film, Derek had his part and Odette had her part, but I think they really wanted to focus on Derek. And so the only way that they could do that is like, we can't have this headstrong, capable female doing stuff, getting in the way. And so they sort of just relegate her to secondary status, just waiting in the wings, damsel in distress. You go, I'll stay.
Well, she does go and she's like, no, and he's trying to take care of things. He's like, I feel for the guy because he's trying to be the good husband. He's trying to be the guy that like handles everything. But he doesn't know how to schedule things very well. And so he goes out and he's trying to save these fields. And she's like, no, I'll come. And she like brings all these blankets or whatever to try and help. And then, he's just like, you're just so good, Odette. You're just so good. And I'm just like, this is just weird. And then you have the animals, and you got Puffin. And I mean, somehow Puffin, like he hits his head, but his tail is bruised. And so he can't fly. What? And then Derek's like, don't tell Odette this is what happened. Like, what? Okay, this is a problem, Derek. Like, you got to be able to tell her stuff. But also, I think she should understand, like, the fact if she's holding you to another standard that you can't, go work, take care of things, and then also just be frazzled and, without her feeling like, hey, I want all your attention. There's a line that says, yeah, you should be calling your wife. But at the same time, it's like there needs to be some, back and forth communication here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, what do I know? I'm not married.
Yeah, diving into marital relations and communication just wouldn't have been as fun.
It's never as fun. Nobody wants broccoli with their ice cream.
No. Yeah, it's interesting. So there's really not that many characters in this film. We have Sir Clavis, who is the villain, and he's not really that great. And then we have Bromley, who's like a great character, and I really like him, but it's like,
there.
Nope.
Yeah.
Can't have you.
Derek's got two guys. He's got Bromley and he's got Lord Rogers, but Lord Rogers is really supposed to be for the queen, so okay.
we're all over the place because this movie is kind of all over the place. I don't know why it really needed to happen. I mean, I know money, hence the reason we have 10 of these things. But I don't know. The Sir Clavius, he's just like, ooh, I have a big beard. Ooh, I'm a magician or a sorcerer, and I'm looking for the dark arts. So the dark arts whole thing was kind of weird to me because do you need to have that orb to do the dark arts?
I mean, he was the apprentice, so maybe.
I know, but like, do you have to actually have it in your being? Because that wasn't a thing for Rothbard. Like, he's doing black magic all over the place. It's not like he has. It's just you have to be the owner of it, and it doesn't matter where you are as long as like you are the owner.
I think
you get
you just
it,
have to
or
be
do you have to
touching
be
it.
touching it? Well, yeah, because that doesn't make sense for Rothbard unless he just actually, yeah. And then there's Bridget, and she's able to turn Odette into a swan, I guess. Just like, hey, yeah, I can do it. I mean, I watched him do it a few times. It's not that hard. I just touch the thing, and boom, you're a swan now. So that's my question. Odette, she goes back to Swan Lake. She goes in the moon thing. You know, she turns back to a human. But once the moon leaves, does that mean she turns back into a swan? Like the movie just ends right there. So is that teeing us off for the threequel?
I don't know. Maybe that would be a sucky life, honestly. Like you live and die by the Swan Lake.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that
I
sucks.
guess-
Like you only live at night.
No, I don't want the graveyard shift.
Right. So, can we just talk about the music a little bit more?
Yeah, that's your thing.
That's
Let's
my
do
thing.
it.
So, there's the song we talked about, the magic of love, aka the Lover's Lament song, and then next is That's What You Do for a Friend. And the moment it started, all I said was, "Oh no, I just can't." Why did they go all MIDI on these? Like, it's, I guess, budget. Yes,
That's why they dropped Liz Calloway. They can't afford a Broadway legend.
That's true.
It's like, and they also can't afford a studio orchestra. Like, I imagine, like, for studio orchestras, there's a lot of pieces, a lot of instruments, a lot of performers. Those have to be pretty expensive.
Well, yeah, I did notice they reused a lot of the soundtrack from the original, and
they reused an awful lot from the original. I felt like there was a lot of reused animation. I'm like, I've seen this Derek pose before. I've seen this before. I mean, they're the same characters. They're wearing the same clothes.
Right.
The shoe fits.
No, for sure. You can't give them too much crap for that just because it's like money, you know? I get it.
Well, it's a direct-to-video sequel.
Right.
Yeah.
Money.
Save and use the MIDI, sure.
Yeah, you could have, but it wouldn't be that difficult to hire a little like garage band like to record. It really wouldn't have. And you just had to get out of LA. But that's the thing is I think there are union laws, especially for movies like this, where it's like you have to use certain people, which those are dumb laws. I'm just going to be honest, because that just makes everything crappy. If you're able to go out and find better prices somewhere else, then let them go out and go to a right to work state. Okay? People in LA are going to hate me for saying that, but this is how life is, okay? So yeah, they have all this MIDI music, and so it just gets all cringe. And so she's going and singing back and forth with her animal friends, and it's like, well, that's what you do for a friend. And it's just it's so campy. So campy.
Oh, yes.
Followed by, the villain song, which is You Gotta Love It. And at first, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is the worst yet. Why? But I have to counter that. And I say that though completely wrong for the character, the voice is good. Like, I was like, if you were to just like take that, just be on the soundtrack, it has absolutely no connection with his speaking voice. But if you're just listening to him on his own, I'm like, you're a good voice, dude. Good job. But then they had to like go ahead and in the animation have this like guitar solo for the guy. It's like, we have to fill up 3 minutes of screen time. What do we have him do? Let's just have him do a guitar solo with a thing of fire.
Oh. You know what else was? Hey, we have 5 minutes to kill. How about they're going to chase the orb around the entire castle
and
again
to
and
no
again
fear.
and again, and the slip between your fingers gag. And I was like, we got it. Okay, yeah, it's hard to catch. Butterfingers. Okay, got it. Cool. Oh no, we're going to keep going. Okay, great. Oh, they still can't get it. Okay, cool. Oh, okay, yeah. Whoa, oops, it slipped away. Oh, it's bouncing down. Oh, wow. Enough already. We got it. You're trying to pad the time. Like, pad it with something else.
That's also where they threw back in the original soundtrack music. So you have the villain song, and then that's basically it as far as songs. Instead of doing the obligatory 1990s R&B remix, they did Princess rap.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. And, of course, no fear is the running joke throughout the whole thing. Like, don't say no fear. But it's like, it's so bad. And we talked about, the thing is, I specifically remember putting this song in an episode at some point in time in our early years. So I'm not going to put that in there this time. But it's a thing. And it's insane.
Do it again. Come on.
Come on. When you're da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, oh, gosh.
Why? No one wants rapping princesses.
Don't they, though? Don't they?
I say that, and next thing we know, we're going to have a rapping princess YouTube video from Disney Music.
Yeah. So you have Sir Clavius, and there's one thing I didn't really understand. Okay, when he comes in and he goes to get Uberta as the clown, like, first off, never trust creepy clowns. There's good clowns out there, sure. But the creepy ones, like, they're overtly creepy. That should be a red flag, I would say.
Yeah, she's just so desperate for birthday acknowledgement. There's two types of people when it comes to birthdays. The people that are like, yeah, it's my birthday, cool. And then also the people who are like, it's my birthday, don't talk about it. And then there are, it's my birthday, give me a hat that says birthday. Let everyone know I'm shouting from the rooftops, it's my birthday, acknowledge me, wish me happy birthday, get me a present, I am special. And that is Uberta.
At least she's honest about what she wants. And, there's some people who want that, but they don't want to say that they want that and then end up having, like, their hopes trashed and be like, oh, nobody likes me. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I appreciate when people, if that means something to you, then you should tell people it means something to you. It's like my sister Marissa. Yeah. Birthdays are her thing. And for months ahead of time, she will text me exactly what she wants for her birthday. She'll send me a picture of it or something, or an email link somewhere. And she literally says, I want a pink pencil sharpener and a DVD, Chelsea. Okay, Marissa. I will get that for you for your birthday. But then there's others who it's like, you didn't get me anything for my birthday. I was like, you want something? You got to tell me. I'm not good at this. So anyway, I do really love Uberta, though. Like, she really is way more capable than one would think. And the fact that she's able to just, like, turn the hired muscle from one guy into her own is pretty admirable.
Oh, yeah. That was great. She is large and in charge, and she was meant to rule. But the funny gag where he's in her cell and he's like arranging her pictures on the wall and like making this a real nice place to be. Like, if I'm gonna be in prison, at least make it a nice one.
Yeah, put nice frames. Like, and she doesn't even know who they like. Put that strange looking guy over there. Like, I like you, Uberta. Actually, did you notice that Derek really wasn't given that many speaking lines? Like, it's supposed to be more about him, but he doesn't really talk through the whole thing. Like, he's just off doing stuff, and he's like, oh, okay.
He's just muscling his way through, fighting with a sword, trying to save the day.
So he goes up and he's going against the hired muscle, and at first he falls into this pit and he's like, you can't leave me like this. You can't let me die like this. And
that was so pathetic. So pathetic. He's like, you can't let me die like this.
Yeah.
It's a little bit out of character for you. I don't feel like you would be groveling.
Bad form. Okay. This is kind of the point. They wanted to kill you this whole time. Did you not recognize that with all of the, crossbows at the beginning? Anyway, he ends up saving this guy in the same way. And of course, you knew I was a snake when you picked me up. The guy, hired muscle, kicks him off the ledge. And I'm thinking at this point, like, it seems like it's going to be a real issue for Derek to climb up out of this. Oh, no, actually, it's going to be super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Just climbs on up. Okay, we're back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I saw that a mile away. It's like, oh, of course he's going to do the noble thing. He's going to save the guy.
Of course.
And I'm like, yeah, but we still got about 25 minutes left of this. Yeah, he's for sure going to turn on him. And he did.
He did.
Did that guy die in the end?
Yeah, he did. he fell to his death, or at least he just fell, because they were in the pulley system going across the rope bridge thing. Then in order to save Odette from falling, because she was as a swan wrapped up or so, which that was the other thing. He was very easily able to just catch her and wrap her up. I'm like, Odette, you're really not good at this.
You're not really great at the swan thing.
Like, why? I don't know why you wanted this, but you did. You could have had the puffin do it.
Well, okay, yes, that's my thing. Is like, I have to go. I have to rescue him. And I'm like, no, actually you don't. You have this dark arts orb. We don't need to turn you back into a swan. How about we just make the puffer penguin fly? He's already stuck as a penguin, so if the orb breaks or something crazy happens, hey, no harm, no foul. He now can just fly.
No pun intended. No foul.
Right.
Yeah, he would have been actually way better off too, because he would have been healed, magically healed, and able to go and handle everything. And okay, also she's squatting at this castle. The first thing, if I'm going to make any fixes, I'm going to figure out why there's a waterlogged cell. Like, let's fix that whole thing so you don't get stuck in here again. Like, that would be one thing that I would like. Let's fix this. But no,
sounds smart.
Here we go.
No,
we need another place.
They have no help to do that. That's the thing, is they're squatting on this castle, but like, I don't want to do any of the repairs. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's true. They got 4 of them there, so it's a lot of work. And she's only got the one dress. Actually, she's got 2. She's got the like worker maid dress.
Yes. She has her Cinderella, my house chores dress, and then my big puffy 90s Odette dress with the white and teal, which is so iconic. But that's about it. Again, hard times have hit the kingdom. She has no clothes. She has no servants. She's just stuck here.
Oh, this is a great first year of marriage.
Yes. I mean, I know they say the first year is rough. Typically, you don't have that much money, but you're so in love. And yeah, I think times are going to it's going to hit them very soon. That they need to figure out a way to collect some taxes.
Oh, great.
Otherwise, yeah, I don't know.
No, I like them not collecting taxes. Hashtag in the Fed. So there was one user review on IMDb that I thought was really funny. So I want to share a little bit of that. So this is X Alfie X and gives it 2 stars out of 10, calls it rubbish. And it says, "This is the worst sequel I've ever seen. Really awful songs."
Well, hold on. It said rubbish. Rubbish is typically a British. That's probably a British person. You need to read it in a British accent,
You're
Chelsea.
right. Don't hate me, anybody.
I can do it.
Okay, you do this.
The worst sequel I've ever seen. Really awful songs, which is upsetting considering how fantastic the first film's score and story is. Also, which ruins the film for me, is the fact that there is no John Cleese. So John Bob might as well not even be in it, and the new villains are dreadful. It is really annoying how that old woman type thing can't string a simple... I'm laughing because it's so true. String a simple sentence together properly without repeating her words over and over and over again. But to be fair, Uberta not shutting up a bit is a little bit funny. But the fact that it was her 50th birthday, why do they draw her looking like an 80-year-old? I was going to give this a 1, but now I think... ... I might give it a 2. But still, the storyline is nowhere near as good as the first film. It's similar without the humor of certain characters. Overall, I dislike this film entirely because of the disappointing music, the severe lack of voice talent, having changed the voice of Prince Derek and Jean Bob, the new villains, disappointing storyline, the annoying habits of some characters, and the very simple animation. 2 stars out of 10. He picked up on a lot of the things we said.
Yes. There's 2 things. A lot of things that are spot on, but also the fact that this person is just like us, and the fact that they're probably our age and this is back in 2007 when they wrote it. They're probably somewhere around our age.
Maybe it was a girl. I made an assumption it was a man, but most likely maybe it's a girl.
I'm assuming this is a girl.
I think the target demo for this film and all of the sequels are females. So
right.
The worst sequel I've ever seen. Really awful songs, which is so upsetting considering how fantastic the first film. Yes, you get the picture.
I get the picture.
Probably more realistic, yes, than some 30-year-old guy.
But it's
Which
like
this was given in 2007. He was probably like he or she, most likely she
or they.
Yeah.
We'll just stick with
Rubbish.
they. Sure. Yeah, it's just I there was a lot of things that I was like, yeah, you hit that. Yep. I will say though that I give this probably more. I'll give them more credit than this person did, because I actually laughed quite a few times just at the sheer stupidity of it. So I would probably give it 2 stars out of 5, which would have been 4 stars out of 10 for them.
Well, no, don't go by their rating.
No.
Go by our rating.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Out of 5. So, because there's on here, it's out of 10, and so that's basically a 1 star.
Yeah.
So a 2 star would be 4. So I would give them more credit. I actually enjoyed it to an extent. I liked laughing about it. I liked having fun with it. Knowing that, Morgan, as you continue down this path of doing all these things, you'll realize, they're just they make fun of themselves a lot too. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to take this as seriously as many people would.
I thought you were going to say the Star Wars quote saying I was going down a path. You're going down a path I cannot follow.
I cannot follow.
Star Wars, yes. You don't want to join me.
Oh my gosh. I've already seen some of them. the like I said, the lightsaber duel in that episode that movie is probably the highlight of the entire series for me.
I can't wait. I really can't wait to talk about
Uberta and Rogers going at it.
At the time that this episode comes out, this is, you can already see my review. It's already going to be online. But at this point in time, I've only seen episode 2 of The Swan Princess.
Here we go.
So my review, I am going to give it 2.5 stars. Like, while it was bad, it wasn't like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
There was some interesting moments here and there, kind of. I mean, I'm really trying to give it some credit, but I actually had a lot more enjoyable time reviewing this film, and I think that's why I'm rating it higher, because I was like, it was just so funny to talk about with Chelsea, and I enjoyed my time so much. So this podcast I rate it 10 out of 10.
Yes.
But
that's true.
Anywhere between like a 2 and a 2.5 stars. I mean, they didn't try very hard, it seems, it shows.
Yeah. And I think that might be why I'm giving it more of a giving them more credit too, just because I had a great time talking about it with you. So the whole it adds a funny to the whole situation. So I'm good with that.
So let us know your thoughts. Go to rotoscopers.com/Instagram and find the Swan Princess 2 post and let us know your thoughts there, because I'm interested to know. And also, since the YouTube video, I watched the Swan Princess film, so you don't have to. That will be out. The link to that video will be in the show notes, and I want you to leave a comment and leave whatever you want to write about it, but leave the hashtag Castle Squatters so we know you came from the podcast.
Yes.
I mean, that could be a great reality show. Just talking about people who squat on castles. And episode 1 could be all about like house hunters,
Yeah.
Derek and Odette didn't want to live in their parents' castles. They decided to find their own. She loves Swan Lake and has sentimental attachment to this particular lake, as they thought, why not? Let's just squat on it.
Oh, perfect.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Animation Addicts Podcast. Until next time, we are the Rotoscopers.
The studio was New Entertainment or Rich Animation Studios. I'm sorry, Nest Entertainment.
Nest. Get it? Nest, Swan. Nest,
yes. Well, the first thing you notice is Odette.
I'm laughing at this.
First thing you notice.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Don't steal my words.
I won't. I'm just reading ahead of the script and I'm laughing. See, this is why we should have watched this together.
I know. So
next time, Chelsea.
Come on. So anyway, okay. Is it Jean-Bob that she's like going against, or is it Puffin?
I don't know. I don't even remember.
I don't remember.
Like, I don't know. So
Fabulous.
Yep. Did you already say this?
No. I'm leading you.
Okay. Okay. No, you actually don't. You have this. Where is my line? Where is my line?
Line.
You've been listening to the Animation Addicts Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to help spread the word, be sure to share the podcast with your friends on social media. Just don't forget to tag us at Rotoscopers on Instagram and use the hashtag Animation Addicts. For all the links and full show notes for this episode, go to rotoscopers.com/podcast. Now, if you still can't get enough for your animation fix, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and visit rotoscopers.com for more animation news, reviews, and interviews. Thanks for listening.